Hi, this is a video to demonstrate the use of Tillit on Mindsphere to bridge the gap from the current ways of working, very manual, very um, inefficient, and the future of AI and machine learning that evolution that is coming with Industry 4.0. I'll show how we can use Mindsphere to facilitate the data capturing of events and data from the control systems, and then how we can use Tillit to orchestrate these events against people's actions and other systems that we have to interact with. So starting with a water treatment plant that my colleague, which is a maintenance manager, has asked me to give visibility of the duty cycle, so we can do maintenance around duty cycles instead of the current calendar-based maintenance. So what I did was install a Mind Connect Nano, one of these boxes, next to the PLC that control the water treatment plant. And then I went online and started to model the assets. So I created a water treatment plant. I then created all the different tanks that were relevant. So I have my water treatment plant here. I have the different tanks of flow balance, a chlorine tank, and so on. And then I model all the way to the different pumps that runs on the different levels. And with the pump, I decided to bring an aspect here, which is the cycle, the number of cycles that the pump is running. All that so that I can later on show to my colleague in the fleet manager. I could show that we could get the duty cycles. So as you see, as the pumps are running, we can see the cycles going up as expected. This is great, but naturally we can't just be satisfied with the data being here available, as this will require somebody to log in nearly every day and check until the cycles reach to a specific level. So what we want to chase is really this orchestration between systems, machines, and people. So what does that mean? Well, it means that I want the system to monitor this aspect, this data for me. And according to my colleague that runs the management, we realized that the moment that a cycle reached a certain set point, I would then want a service order to be generated for a repair guy to go out. But we also realized that, not ideally, we would even go as far as generating a purchase order, maybe when the duty cycles reaches a different set point, so that when I go out and service them, I have all the spare parts that I need. So once we understood a bit better the process, we realized that we needed some sort of workflow that would monitor the condition of the asset, but also manage the orchestration with the people that had to, purchase materials and the techs that had to go out and perform the maintenance. So that can be done with Tillit. So Tillit on Mindsphere is essentially rating from the same asset that we just saw. So I have all the different tanks over here. I have the different pumps. And with Tillit, you can actually also maintain, together with Asset Manager, you can start maintaining some properties. So these variables here, like the cycle check and the replace cycle variables, are things that I created that can be later on used to compare with the duty cycles of the pump. we can go to modular, where we can see that I've created a process that's called duty cycle monitor that is tracking the duty cycles of the assets. So essentially here I'm retrieving all the assets from the asset management API, and then I'm going through each one of them and grabbing their current cycles from the time series API for Mindsphere, and then I'm comparing against the variables that I showed around the set point of purchasing and set point of service order. So then I create two tasks to have that final approval from a human being around, yes, I do want to purchase, to create a purchase order, and yes, I do want to create a service order in place of the different set points I reached. So if I want to create a service order, a purchase order, and then I am triggering a custom API here that I've built for this demo that's going out into a ERP and creating that purchase order. And then if I want to create a service order, I'm actually calling this other workflow called maintenance task that will trigger that will handle that service order for me. So let's look at that maintenance task workflow. So if I go back here and I open it, I can see I have all these different versions that were created as I was evolving the process. Look at the latest one. I can see that I can start this maintenance workflow by manually by creating this maintenance task, by the process, the duty cycle that I showed you before, or even by a Mindsphere event. So depending on how I generate an event here, I can actually trigger a maintenance workflow. So the first task of the maintenance workflow is to approve it. So I'll get a task that goes into my manager, into my maintenance planning team to approve it, and then to schedule it. And then while I'm approving, I can actually allow it to create a service order in my ERP again, same custom service that I showed you. Once it's scheduled, then it's executed by the person that got assigned in on this task. And then once it completes, it ends the process. But if the assignee ever chooses that wasn't unable to execute, so here in the forms I can see the different fields that he will be given in his mobile phone or in his desktop, and one of them is, for instance, the require follow-up, which means that once you require follow-up, it goes back into a schedule to be triggered by somebody else. So this is just a sample of this process, and let's look at it running. So before I run this process, I'll just open my simulator. So my simulator allows me to play God here and look at the number of duty cycles on each one of the pumps that I have, and I'm going to set this one up to be on the purchase, the repair, the spare parts trigger point. So now that I know that this is at more than 1,000, which is the set point I place it for the purchase order for that specific asset, I can go back here in Tillit, and I'll trigger a workflow. Now this would be automatically done by the system, but just for this video I'm going to trigger it manually. So I'm going to come here in duty cycle monitor, and I'm going to select pumps and submit. So this has created, as expected, a purchase order request for this the pump number 1. It hasn't created anything for the pump number 2 because the duty cycle is still quite low. But before I click submit, I'm just going to open my ERP, and I'm going to show that I don't have any purchase orders, a request for quotation here created. So now I'm going to go back to Tillit, and I'm going to press submit. Okay, now I can check in my ERP here and refresh, and there's my purchase order that just got created. Great. So that clears that takes care of the first step of the process. Okay, so let's just go back to my simulator and set pump 2 to have the duty cycles greater than the service order request level. Okay, we can go back to Tillit and run the job again. All right, now I have a service order request for pump 2. So I'm going to say, yes, please create that. Okay, so now that we have an approve replace part to a task to fulfill, I know that this is going to be done by the manager, and naturally the manager is somebody that's always on the run. So we don't want to lock him into a desktop. So we need a mobile experience for the manager. So if we open the same Tillit on your mobile, you have a whole different experience here, which is a mobile ready one. So here you can search the assets, you can browse the same asset tree, and once we find our pump that has the service on it, we can look that there is the cycle, the properties on the top, and then we can see all the actions on the bottom. So if I open this approval task, I can claim it. I can give a priority. I want a high priority. I want to also create a service order in my ERP, and I want to submit this. Now that I've submitted that, I can look at in my ERP again, and I can see that there's no maintenance orders here, and I can refresh the screen to see the maintenance order that was just created. So that's great. I was able to create a purchase order in my ERP. I was able to create a service order in my ERP. And now I can go back to the mobile app and schedule this task. I'm going to schedule this task to John, and I'm going to submit it. Now I can go back to my main user interface, and as John, I'm going to go in and execute. So part replaced as my report. I don't need a follow-up, and I can just say there was a mechanical, and it took me 45 minutes to do it, and submit. So this is how we can easily implement a solution to monitor dirty cycles, but what we're really doing is orchestrating events or data from the machines. We're assigning tasks to users, and we're also interfacing with systems, all to achieve a higher performance and efficiency of our operation. Thanks for watching.